All right, all set.
Perfect. Thank you, Chris. Welcome, everyone. Happy 2022. I'm going to share my screen. I am in the agenda doc that I shared. We just had 2 new people join, so if someone could just share that link again so they can have access to it easily, that would be great. So it's in today's working group. I thought, okay, let's go back. In the last working group meeting, we talked about the problems with knowing what's going on and what people are working on. And so I thought in this working group, that's what we would talk about. So first, let's review the action items from last week, or not last week, last month. As always, the evergreen action item, don't forget to check your issues and PRs. Thank you everyone for working on those. I hope that you joined the community discussion for these proposals. And I thought a lot about roadmap visibility and how to make it better. And so that's what we're going to do today. So without further ado, I have 4 areas that I thought we would discuss. And I'm going to hand it over to Jeff. And if anyone else has anything else that they want to discuss today, feel free to put it on the agenda and we can get to it afterwards. Jeff, do you want to share your screen? I'll stop sharing.
Sure. Zoom go. No, seriously, where'd Zoom go? Okay, I'm going to leave and come back so that Zoom actually shows up somewhere. Okay.
Oh no, Zoom problems.
Yeah. There we go.
Welcome back.
Thank you. Where's the right thing to share? This is the right one. Cool. Dynamic ASGs is what I was going to talk about, if I can get it. Here it is. Okay. So one of the things we're working on in the short term is trying to make application security rules apply to containers after you make changes to them without requiring an app restart. There are a lot of people that have large installations with lots of teams and lots of rules, and they don't want to have to track everyone down to make their global policies apply all the time, which makes sense. So we're trying to do it for them. So there's this proposal up. There's a GitHub issue on the CF networking release that talks about it and links to this proposal. I encourage you to read it all. The main overview of how it's how things work now are ASGs get set in CAPI. They get propagated to Diego when it says give me a new desired LRP. Then the cell grabs those on LRP start, sends them to the CNI, and the CNI implements the ASGs when the container starts up. And then periodically, VXLAN policy agent will pull a policy server for network policies that get sent directly in policy server from the CLI. And the new architecture is basically the same, except also VXLAN policy agent will be configured on by default, but can be turned off to pull policy server for ASG data. Policy server will also pull CAPI to sync up all of that ASG data. That way we don't need policy server or VXLAN policy agent talking to CAPI. All of a sudden, we don't have to make a bunch of changes to Diego to figure out how to get those updated all the time and potentially cause restarts or instability in the Diego side. And then in the same loop that applies new C2C policies, policy agent is going to apply the new ASG updates. So that's kind of the high level of it. It's in progress. I know Ivan was giving some feedback and looking into some other options potentially. I don't know if he's here. Kind of looks like no. But you know, does anyone have questions, thoughts, concerns? Do you all want to just look at this later and get back to me? That's fine too.
I'm curious from the non-VMware folk, is this an issue that you run into? Like application security groups, and when you change them and like having to reset large amounts of apps, does this resonate with you as a problem?
I think for us it was a problem recently in SAP side. So we wanted to adjust ASGS and just to mitigate the problem from connecting from Diego to the load balancer, have it internally, and yeah, we just couldn't do it because we couldn't adjust the ASGs because all customers would need to update. I think that's also where it's coming from. Or did Ivan? Was Ivan involved here?
He was reaching out after looking at the proposal,
Okay.
trying to find other ways of potentially solving it. Cool. I guess that's all I've got. Who's next?
Thank you so much, Jeff. Maria, would you like to talk about TLS and C2C?
Sure. Yeah. So basically, customers, they want their C2C to have TLS, and we don't provide that. They only can talk to port 8080 if you have unproxied port mappings, or they started using the port that we expose for Go router 61001. So they kind of started using that. But that port kind of presents certificate with the IP address of the container, and C2C, they have to either kind of figure out the IP address of the container they want to talk to, which is not convenient, or they have to ignore certificate. So that's why there's this whole request. Can we please provide an endpoint they can talk to where there is a certificate that includes application internal route, so that they don't have to ignore certificates. And yeah, original investigation was done by Andrew, but we looked at couple of solutions. One is to include wildcard of like all internal domains. That way, you don't need to like do like any updates or restarts of the application whenever there is a new map route command has run with like or like unmap. Or another solution, you would include all application specific routes, its internal routes in the sans of the certificate. And yeah, we kind of thought that that would be more secure from like route integrity point. We validated that it's kind of protected by network policies. So if you have network policies in place, there is no way you can talk to another container and like get that route integrity broken. But if you have network policies in place, there is still a possibility where you can talk to different containers you're not intended to talk to. And so, and actually, like we found out that there's a high probability the way like we give out ports. So yeah, we decided to go with the solution to include all app internal domain routes in the SAN. And yeah, I kind of want to go over. We decided to dedicate a specific port. So if you have a port 8080, then you're gonna get dedicated kind of like pre-known port 61443 that will be exposed on the Envoy so that C2C like other containers can connect to that for CLS. So why is that? Because we don't want to like clients to figure out what port is there. So we decided to go with a predefined kind of port, kind of like what we have for 8080. Yeah, I wonder what else too. So the process for clients, yeah, they map the route, they add network policy, and then they can talk to the destination application container on port 61443 without ignoring certificate. So we also implemented a way of updating existing container. So BBS doesn't have the right now a communication with the rep to update existing containers. So we introduced a new API call, and that will swap certificate for Envoy, and Envoy actually can read updated certificate files from disk and just reload that for like running process, which is pretty cool. Yeah, and so that's done up to this part. And then the other thing we have to think about is like if initial update call is missed, we want to have that conversion cycle where we're gonna track, okay, what's actually out there, what our actual RPs have, and converge that on BBS and try to send those updates in convergence cycles. Yeah, any questions?
And Maria, when you say that, like part of it is done already, is it done on a branch or is it exposed? Like, could people use it right now?
Yeah, people can use it. It's all merged. So yeah, the only bit that's not done is that convergence, like what happens if like original update is missed. Like in that case, after the map route command is run, application needs to be restarted to pick up new SANs. Until then, it's just not gonna work. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Maria.
Sure.
People have been asking for this for a while. I'm excited it's happening. And I'm happy you decided to do it the more secure way.
Yeah, GPMC is excited about it. They like, they have to turn IPsec and they use unproxied port mappings to do that. Yeah.
Nice. Okay, Ben is up next.
Howdy. So there's a proposed, actually, let's see. There is a list of this. There's a proposal and CF. I'm gonna actually change this to be a link, maybe. Can I do that? In the Google Doc? No, I guess I can't. There's a HTTP proposal. I can link it in our chat. The hope is to switch from emitting HTTP events to HTTP metrics with regards to applications. I currently have a branch starting work on trying to get this as a optional feature, and then hopefully we can iterate on it maybe. But the hope is to both reduce the volume of metrics in the system, as for large systems, the HTTP metrics can take up a significant portion of like the entire metrics throughput, but as well to hopefully make the metrics a little bit more useful to consumers. That said, it's pretty complicated, and there's a lot of open questions about it. But always open for feedback.
Can you say again what part of the process you're in right now, and if those open questions are listed somewhere, enumerated somewhere?
So there isn't really a list per se of open questions. One of the easy open questions is like, how do you bucket latencies? My initial thought is to just pick some numbers, although even those numbers might be bad numbers for like default numbers. Right now in the process, we have a branch that is emitting Prometheus metrics for HTTP metrics. They do not have a lot of metadata associated with them, but perhaps that is where they should be. But also, it's not merged in as well. The option to turn it off and on isn't that great, and there's no TLS on the endpoint. So all of those things will have to be improved.
Thoughts, questions, comments? Thank you so much, Ben. Okay, and last, I said I would talk about NATS v2. Let me share my screen again. Okay. One thing that I probably should have said right at the beginning. Oh no, my Slack. Oh, sideways scrolling got the best of me. I'm gonna share this in chat. This is our proposals GitHub project board. And so the proposals that we have been going over today are all listed here. Here's the one that Jeff mentioned. Here's the one that Maria mentioned. Here's the one that Ben talked about. And we're going to talk about NATS v2. If you have a proposal that you're working on and think it should be here, please let me know. We're still trying to figure out how to work this. It's all a work in progress. But I'll talk about NATS. So if I go to this issue, I wrote an update here, the other day. So I thought I'd review, why do we want to update? Just a little quick friendly reminder, you know, besides the like, hey, it's nice to stay on updated dependencies. There's also been a history of users experiencing issues with NATS. Make this a little bigger, there we go. Something will happen that causes all the NATS clients to need to reconnect. And then that seems to cause a CPU spike, and then NATS stops accepting the new clients, and then the new clients keep pounding it, and then it like causes the CPU to spike higher, and then none of these clients can talk to NATS. And then of course you get the problems of what happens in your foundation when things aren't going through NATS. So we want to update because we believe that updating will fix this issue that people have been getting. I wanted to point out that we're not 100% sure. An engineer that had been did the deepest dive into reproduction and looking into this just wanted to call out that our reproduction was from a TCP write timeout point of view, and the customers seem to be, or our users seem to be, from a TCP read timeout point of view. But they were both failing because of server mutex lock issues. And so that's why we are fairly confident that NATS2 will fix it, we'll hope. So we want to update. And you might be thinking, well, why haven't you just updated? It turns out it's not easy. The biggest problem is that NATS1 can't talk to NATS2, right? And it's like a cluster and they all need to talk to each other. So during a rolling deploy, if there's more than 2 NATS VMs, you'll get a split brain. And so depending on what your client is connected to, it will only get a partial amount of information. If it's a very short-lived split brain, I think this would probably be okay. You might, like, some Go routers wouldn't get new routes or wouldn't get deleted routes, but as long as, you know, in that, like, let's say this split brain was 30 seconds, as long as you weren't pushing a bunch of apps at that moment, right? It should just like be 30 seconds of a little bit, maybe of wonkiness, and then it would all figure itself out. So I think the biggest issues are that the Go routers wouldn't get new routes or delete old routes. That happened during the time of the split brain. And that service discovery controllers would, same thing, wouldn't get new internal routes or delete old internal routes. That changed during the middle of the split brain. The bigger issue of a split brain is if it lasts longer than 120 seconds. So maybe it took that long to roll, or maybe something happened and your deploy failed and, you know, it's down and stuck in a split brain situation. Of course, you get the above issues. But also there are some things that are still pruned on TTLs, on time to live. And so after 120 seconds, those things would start being pruned. I believe internal routes are pruned on a TTL right now. And some component routes are still pruned on a TTL. And so that means if you were a Go router and you were connected to the client that wasn't, or the NATS bus that wasn't getting updates, you might not be able to route clients to the blob store or MySQL proxy or routing API. One thing that we have been considering as a fix to this is telling people that they have to go to 2 NATS VMs in order to roll so that they won't have this split brain issue. I think that's the best solution that we have for right now. So we've done a lot of exploration work. We've not totally decided on a path forward. We've not started execution on this, but it's definitely on the horizon to pick up in some nebulous soon. I would like to say, like, by the time I see you next, we'll be working on it. But I feel like, you know, with software, it's hard to promise those things. But I really do mean soon. I know Maria is passionate about this too, and Andrew is too, so hopefully we'll do it. So thoughts, questions, comments? Stefan looks very deep in thought.
I know that we were one of the customers who had these issues with NATS V1. And I think, yeah, we would wait as soon as possible. But I think Patrick now is more in the topic in the meantime. Just thinking about how you can do this about the split brain, but I have no idea. But I think definitely there are also other improvements as far as I remember from the discussion with the NATS folks. For example, this slow consumer thing is better than with NATS V1. So it's,
yeah,
they handle slow consumers better somehow.
Yeah, hopefully some of the performance issues exactly with NATS will be better in NATS V2. So that's all I have for today. It doesn't look like anyone else added things to the agenda. Oh, and we only have 1 minute, so perfect. just remember that you can always look at this project board, and if you want to go deeper into any of these proposals, you can comment on the appropriate card here. And thank you so much for joining today, everyone. If you have something that you think maybe we should talk about it at the next working group forum, maybe there's something else you want to cover, like, please let me know. Happy to do what the group wants. And it's always great seeing you all. So, thanks, everyone.
Bye, everybody. Bye, thank you.
Thanks a lot. Bye.